So I just have been thinking about the sheriff's agreement with ICE. That's been mentioned in the newspapers recently. Apparently, it was signed in October. He suggests he has the purview, which he does, to train his staff, his officers, corrections, and otherwise. That's something that's essential. But I'm not convinced that he has the authorization to sign an agreement whereby his staff become basically agents of ICE to issue warrants and take other activities, training them in the law and in performing local law enforcement activities is wonderful, necessary, and I applaud that. He tends to be very current with that, and I appreciate it. But I just bring attention to the fact that while this 287 federal legislation and has been around for some time, there have been changes, significant changes made by the federal government, the current administration, to the existing, longstanding existing regulations and details. Specifically, it eliminates the requirement that ICE provide supervisory level staff to supervise the design and operations of local law enforcement agents who are designated to do some work with them. It's no longer supervisory personnel that are required to oversee this. It is any officer who could be a new person, line staff, with no supervisory responsibilities to supervise this program. The training, the details of what kind of training that ICE provides to local law enforcement agency personnel is no longer specified. It used to be, that was deleted. It used to be that the memorandum of agreement worked for 3 years' time, at which time it would be reviewed and potentially reviewed, renewed or not, or revised. It is now open-ended, no requirement that it be reviewed, that it be renewed, subject to review by local agencies or ICE. It's open-ended. So lack of, a elimination of the supervisory role for ICE staff to be authorized to give guidance and direction to local law enforcement entities. No supervisory requirement, open-ended, no review and renewal. And the notion that that the sheriff, and I don't know the answer to this question, I just raised the question, while he's authorized certainly and should be making sure that his staff, particularly in this case, the corrections facility supervisors, that they are not only trained in the law, but have basically become ICE agents, agents of ICE. And I'm concerned that having corrections folks become authorized agents of ICE and answerable to ICE on these matters, not to the sheriff, is very worrisome. And I think that this is something that people need to take a look at. It's not a matter of training at this point, it's a matter of becoming agents. And I don't know whether the sheriff actually has the authority and the authorization from the county board to enter into that kind of agreement. The city of Camden in Oneida has become authorized to become not only just jail warrant issuing officers, but to participate in team efforts in their own and any other communities that their police chief chooses. I don't know that it's appropriate that corrections officials in the jail here become warrant officers to issue warrants. I don't know that they have the training. ICE may train them, but I'm not sure that they have the authority to do that within the county. It's a county entity. The sheriff is answerable to you. I think this needs to have a closer look as to what the sheriff is and his staff are doing. He's the exception. to most of the counties in the state. You know, there's maybe 6 or 8 counties who have some kind of agreement with ICE. He's the exception. Craig Dumont next door in Delaware County has not entered into this agreement. Parker County, Schoharie County. I'm not sure why he feels it's necessary to do this, and I'm not sure that he has the authority to do this.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else like to address the board this morning? I would like you to state your name and address, please, and we have a 3-minute time limit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Boyd Richards, 66 Susquehanna Avenue here in Cooperstown. I'd like to add my voice to the gentleman that just spoke. I'm very concerned about the agreement with our local sheriff in support of the current U.S. government's treatment of immigrants to ICE. The optics are very poor. It seems very contrary to the resolution that was passed in Cooperstown in support of immigrants, and recognizing that often justice isn't served to immigrants here seeking legal status, otherwise behaving very legally. I understand that Oneonta's also passed a similar resolution. And I think the optics of having our sheriff and sheriff's department involved in ICE in any way just is incongruent with those resolutions and the will of the majority of the individuals here in the county. So I'd like my voice to be heard in opposition to that agreement.
Thank you. Anyone else today?
Good morning. I'm Paul Mendelson. I live in 231 Mill Road, Charterville, New York. And I'm here for pretty much the same reason. We were told a year ago that ICE was going to be deporting the worst of the worst, and I think everyone pretty much supported that. That's quite defensible. And since then, and before the sheriff's department here signed on with that, things have changed considerably. People are ICE. People working for ICE, their qualifications have been significantly reduced. Their training has been reduced. They show up in mass with no identification, whisk people away to private prisons where there is no way to follow them up. They have no recourse. At this point, they're going after people who were brought here as 4-year-old children, and again, whisking them away, perhaps to the country they were brought from, or perhaps to some troubled African country that they have no connection with at all. At this point, the president would like to go after people who are, well, they have been going after people who are here legally, one of whom we probably know of, a hotel worker from Cooperstown recently. He would like to go after naturalized citizens, which is clearly illegal. There's nothing in the Constitution that allows for that. So as the mission creep from ICE continues to become more and more illegal, I have no other way to say that, as they defy the law in greater degree, is there no point at which Otsego County says, you know what, we don't want to be a part of this, but we're signed on at this point, so be careful who you get in bed with. I'll say only this, close with, my grandparents were deported to Auschwitz in 1942. The people who came to the door were just low functioning bureaucrats doing their job. There will be midterms a year from now, and a lot of what has happened in the last year and perhaps over the next year is going to be called to account. And we will be asked to account for what we have been cooperating with. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else like to address the board this morning? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mary Ann Phelan from Cooperstown. I'd like to add my voice to the concerns about the matter that you were just discussing. less than 10% of the counties in New York State have signed on to that agreement, and with good reason. At the very least, I think such activity should be restricted to people for whom there is a judicial warrant, not just an ICE warrant, which has become meaningless. We all have examples, including local examples, of people who have been, in effect, kidnapped, lives disrupted, the lives of their families disrupted, the lives of their friends disrupted. And I think we need to think very, very seriously about this business. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience this morning like to address the board?